So, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being together with me today. I honestly think this is the most important conference we've had as Wales Green Party. The policies we're passing, the debates we're having, the ideas we're putting forward. We're the only party with a vision of what's coming in the upcoming months, years, and decades ahead. We're living through a decisive moment in history, and we stand at a crossroads. Down one path is the same: underinvestment, stagnation, decline, trapped in the vice of a Westminster establishment which has never cared about the future of Wales. Or we can raise our ambitions and seize the moment. We can become a powerhouse of industry and innovation once again, breathing new life into our communities and showing the world that a green recovery from this crisis is possible, and show the world what it looks like. In the Green Party, we know which path to take, and we're all ready to go the whole distance. It's my honour to be addressing you today as a candidate in the next Welsh Parliament election. And I truly believe that this time, next year, I will be addressing you as the first ever Green member of the Senedd. I am proud to be running with so many inspiring candidates standing across Wales. And I know that together we can make history. Right now, we're living during the times that historians will be analysing for centuries. While we battle a global pandemic, we also face the crisis of a no-deal Brexit. During this time, we've seen Wales consistently failed, locked out of our futures in the Brexit discussions, unsupported when we follow the science to protect our communities from coronavirus. Our voices and our democracy have been taken for granted by the Westminster government and torn up by who have torn up the principles of devolution with a power grab called the Internal Market Bill. And here in Wales, the simple truth is that the mask has slipped in Westminster. They say we're all in it together, but it's the same old story with the same old Tories. They found 12 billion for a test and trace system in Serco that seems to have been built on Microsoft Excel. They found hundreds of millions of pounds for chums from the private sector to work as consultants for over £6,000 a day. They say the coffers are empty, but we know that's a lie. They're just morally bankrupt. But devolution has shown us that another politics is possible. Where we had devolution in Wales, we've shown our ability to lead the way. Our public test and trace system reaches nearly 100% of contacts. We will ensure children are fed until at least Easter 2021. We've started to see the potential that Wales has to be a compassionate, bold, and ambitious nation. But for that, we need ambitious leadership. Leadership with the vision and determination to take Wales forward into the 21st century and out of the shadows of our English neighbours. And as Greens, we need to ask the people of Wales whether they truly believe that the current leaders in Wales have what it takes. In over 20 years since devolution began, have Labour shown the drive and ambition to address the most deeply rooted problems in Wales, such as poverty and inequality? Have they shown the ability to deal with the climate emergency, which is going to define our future? Have Labour shown the determination to truly put Wales in charge of its own destiny and reclaim control for our nation from Westminster? While England is failing to feed children during half-term, children here in Wales will at least have access to food until Easter 2021, which is a great start. Yet, we've had 20 years of Labour in power in Wales, and they have failed to tackle the roots of poverty that force children and families to face the fear of holiday hunger, and we must demand better. Labour and Lib Dems failed a generation of Welsh children with the exam results algorithm. which initially broke the hearts and destroyed the dreams of young people who received their A-level results this year. Even after that fiasco, Labour have shown no movement on working to ensure that we have a free education for Welsh students studying at university. Great things will be achieved when Greens are elected to the Senedd. Our sister party in Scotland proves that daily through their policies, scrutiny, and prioritisation of environmental, social, and economic justice. This summer, it was the Green member of the Scottish Parliament, Ross Greer, who, seeing the coming disaster of the exam results algorithms, held the Scottish Government to account, exposed the injustice to the media and the public, and forced a change of approach. In budget talks with the SNP administration, the Greens have proven themselves to be tough and smart negotiators. The Scottish Greens have secured an annual grant for young carers, free public transport for all young people from next year, and hundreds of millions of pounds of extra funding for local authorities facing cuts. And in Wales, this is the kind of thing that people can expect from Greens in our Parliament. We can't go on the way things are. Let me give you an example of everything which doesn't work for Wales at the moment. Look at the case of the M4 Relief Road, something which Greens across this nation fought tooth and nail against after it was first proposed nearly 30 years ago. It was last year we finally won the argument again, and the project scrapped over spiralling costs and environmental destruction to the Gwent levels. Now Johnson is threatening to force this back on our nation against our consent with the power of the Internal Market Bill. It's an economic dead end. It's an environmental disaster. It's a political affront to the principles of devolution. We need to defend our devolution and our rights to make these decisions as a nation. These are rights that Johnson wants to destroy. Let's be very clear. We don't need some out-of-touch Etonian sitting in a London townhouse telling us what's good for Wales. We, the people of Wales, know what's good for Wales. We know that we will revive our communities, repair our economy, and restore our natural world. We won't do this through the Labour government's failed initiatives, attracting companies like Bentley Cars to Wales to create unsustainable jobs in out-of-date industries. We will do this through a Green New Deal for Wales. An abundance of jobs rooted in place, loaded with purpose, sources of pride. Thousands of new net zero carbon homes created every single year. Solar panels on the roofs of every hospital, school and government building. Rewilding our natural world and replenishing biodiversity of our world famous landscapes. I'm talking about making cities and towns like Newport a place to go to, not just a place you go through. I'm talking about going net zero faster than any other country in a way which lifts everyone up. A universal basic income to provide the entire population with dignity and security, building pride and hope in every person in Wales. Don't let anyone tell you that this cannot be done. We just need the political will to deliver something better. And that's what Greens are going to do. We can get Greens into the Senedd next spring, and we will. Across the UK, Greens have been breaking onto councils and governments where people are sick and tired of the complacent old school politicians who think they are entitled to be waved back into power every few years. Time and time again, we have shown that just one Green can change everything. In Wales, we have a Labour monopoly, a consensus completely unchallenged for decades. stale, outdated, ready to be joined by something better. And I am telling you that we can win. It will take your support, your time, your dedication as well, but we can win to make something better possible. We are at a crossroads and we must make a choice. Do we want first past the post austerity, the hollowing out of the public sector, the craven capitulation to the private sector, the dismantling of the NHS, perpetual war, unending poverty, spiralling environmental destruction? Or do you want to choose a Wales powered by hope and pride? Choose a Wales in charge of its own destiny. Choose a green and prosperous Wales. Let's get Greens elected into the Senedd next year and make all of this possible. Thank you.